Good morning, students. This is the test review for Chapter 8 with the 8 spelled out, E-I-G-H-T. We're going to briefly go over the questions and I'm going to give you the answers. I will give you examples that are different from what you have on your paper. That will provide you with extra practice, and you will have the opportunity also to get the correct answers for what you've been given. And that will save us some time in the classroom on Monday. So we're looking at your Chapter 8 test study guide. Goodness, I can't get my words out. We have 29 questions altogether. And we're going to start with the first section. Now, the test may not be in the same format. The multiple choice questions may be in a different location, but the test will be very similar. So looking at questions 1 through 4, this is the multiple choice. And we're looking at question number 1. We want to figure out what the fifth term in the sequence is. So the sequence is increasing by 7. So we need to figure out what the next number would be, plus 7. So the answer would be 33. Let's look at another one. All right, let's say I've got a sequence 2, 5, 8, 11, 14. What would the next one be? Remember, I showed you guys way back when at the beginning of the chapter. That was a long time ago, I realized. So I'm going to review this with you very quickly. All right, if you label this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I was telling you, label your numbers. The first one is a plus 3. The next one a plus 3. 5 plus 3 is 8. 8 plus 3 is 11. 11 plus 3 is 14. 14 plus 3, what do you think our next number should be? This would be 17 would be our next number. That is your sequence. You have to figure out what it is that you're increasing by. So look at question number 2, and you're done with that question. Looking at question number 2, I have simplified the expression. I'm going to give you a similar question, and then I will give you the answer. So I am going to say 8 times x minus 10, and then put a 4 on the bottom. That's very similar. Okay, this is distributive property, and I can do this one of 2 ways. I have been showing you guys you can go ahead and use distributive property over multiplication, and we get 8x minus 80. Okay, remember that I have to distribute 8 times x and then 8 times 10, and then divided by 4. And then I continue below that, and I say I have to break it up. Remember, we pretended, okay, here come the steers to break up the party. Okay, I know you can explain that to other people who are viewing that with you if you need to, but you don't have to, I guess. I don't know. All right, 8 divided by 4, 1, 2, 2 4s and 8. How many 4s in 80? 20. And so my new answer would be 2x minus 20. Now I have the option. I don't have to do distributive property. I don't have to do distributive property over multiplication. I can do this also. I've showed you this once or twice. I'll show you one more time. 8 times x minus 10 divided by 4. All I have to do is say divide. This is 1. And then I say 2 times x minus 10. And then I will get the same answer again. Distribute. You're just distributing in a different place. That's all. That's the only thing that's changed. I divided first this time instead of multiplying. So I have 2x minus 2 times 10 is 20. The same answer. Either way you get the same answer. For this particular question, the correct answer would be, this is number 2. The answer is 2x minus 10. Looking at number 3, which property? And this one I'm just going to answer so that you can move on to the next section. Which property is shown? We are moving, this is what it looks like if we just show it as letters. This is number 3. A times B equals B times A. The property is commutative. Commutative property. They can move around, like they can commutative, and still be the same answer. Commutative property. And that is a multiple choice question. Moving on to number 4. Okay, we're looking back at question number 4. Back to question number 4. Okay, looking at which pair of expressions are equal. I will tell you the answer. It is letter A. Nothing else works out to be equal. You have to use distributive property and then combine like terms, and you will be able to figure out that letter A is the correct answer. Remember, distributive property is a big deal for us right now. So number 1 thing you need to do, number 2 thing to compare these two guys, combine like terms and you will get the same answer. If you don't get this, ask me in class on Monday and we will go over it just to make sure everybody understands that one. Now, continuing to number 5. That's one I really am not going to be able to reproduce without having to do a lot of work. So that one, ask me about in class if you're having trouble with that one. Looking at number 5, evaluate each numerical expression using order of operations. Remember, with order of operations, we are talking about Aunt Sally here. If you're not sure about Aunt Sally, if you missed that class time, please refer back to the Aunt Sally order of operations video that has the picture of the angry looking woman on it on my YouTube channel. That would be it. And watch that video. It's not terribly long and it should help you a lot with it. At least that's my hope. So remember, parentheses, exponent, multiplication, and division. We work right to left. I'm sorry, left to right, and then addition and subtraction, we work left to right. So looking at number 5, we have to do the parentheses, which also happens to be the multiplication. And the answer to number 5 would be, I'm going to skip the multiplication part, and I'm going to tell you what comes next. 14 plus 12, and because we're on the addition step, all we have to do is add them together, and we get 26. Looking at number 6, we also have a parentheses, and you are going to have to use, you know what, you can do 2 different things with this, with number 6. I'm going to show you. You can use distributive property, but because you know what the numbers are on the inside, you do not have to use distributive property. So I'm going to skip the subtraction inside the parentheses and show you the next step. This is what's inside the parentheses after you do the subtracting. Times 4 plus, and then I'm not going to do the exponent. Remember, that's what you do after the parentheses. I'm going to just tell you what the exponent equals. Okay, 7 times 4 is 28. 28 plus 36. And 8 plus 6 is 14. And then I carry my 1. 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 plus 3 is 6. 64 is our answer. Make sure you circle your answers. That helps your teacher find your answers. That's a good idea. Okay, moving on to number 7. Number 7. Here we are. Number 7. Also, you can solve the parentheses first. I'm going to solve the parentheses first. 6 minus 4 is 2. 2 in the parentheses times 3 plus, I'm skipping the exponent. Okay, I've just solved it. I haven't written it down. So 6. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 plus 25 gives me 31. And that is the order of operations section for 5 through 6. Now we have another order of operations section. Let me clear my little screen off for just a second. This is 8 through 9, and this time we are comparing expressions. We're trying to figure out, are they the same? This is another one of your standards that we're trying to check off. So evaluate and tell whether or not they're the same. So number 8. Number 8 says, again, I'm going to skip the parentheses. You just add what's in the parentheses first. We go 5 times 5, and that equals 25. That's the first part. And here's the second part of number 8. I have 4 plus 1 times 2. That's in the parentheses. That's 2 plus 3. All right. So I have 25, or I have 4 plus 2 is 6. 6 plus 3 is 9. Are they the same? Answer, no. Say not the same. Somehow make it clear to me they are not the same. So I don't have to say, I couldn't grade this. Yeah, you're going to have to come back in 7th or 8th period and come see me and interrupt related arts or something. All right, looking at number 9. Okay, number 9. I'm going to again skip what is in the parentheses. I'm going to pretend that we already solved that. That is plus 15. That's your parentheses item. So 5 plus 15 gives me 20. And here is the expression I'm comparing. I have 13, that's what's in the parentheses, plus 7, and that gives me 20. Are they the same? Yes, they are the same. And then you can put your comma there and make the English teacher happy. We like to make our English teachers happy, don't we? All right, moving on to number 10. Write an algebraic expression that represents each situation. I'm not going to read these out loud. I will just, excuse me, show you the answer. This is 320 in, or R, it's R. No, it's, I can't read my handwriting. It's 320t. Okay, 320t. Now, some of you are still doing this. That's fine. That's just not a math convention. We normally put the number in front of the letter. If you're writing your multiplication sign, that's still okay for me, but try to move away from that. Okay, try to get rid of this habit. I know you want to do it. I get it. But you're just not going to see that a whole lot. And if on a standardized test, that may not be considered a correct answer. So let's try to get away from it and move more toward the more standardized answer. Moving on to number 11. Number 11, let me see. Here is our answer. If you're not sure about that, ask me in class on Monday, please. I welcome questions. Look at number 12. Okay, this one keeps getting people. Okay, you have the 4 things that you're going to distribute things over. Okay, I can't be any more specific than that. And your number of things is what's represented. Okay, so this is the answer. Excuse me. That is the answer. Again, ask me in class if you don't understand. We will talk. Now, excuse me, for number 13. 13. This one I thought might get some people, so I wanted to definitely include this in our practice. This one is a little bit tricky. You have to really read this carefully. So looking at 13, this is your answer. The square of a number. That's what they mean by that. Let me just make a pretty little box around that. That's what they mean by the square of a number, all right? If they said a cube of a number, this is what you would have. Got to remember to change pens on this app. That's your cube of a number. Times another number, okay? Times 2, okay? That's another example of what they mean by that. That's when you have to kind of read. They're checking to see how well do you understand this idea? How well do you, how well is this sunken into your head? That's a lot to take in, I agree. Looking at number 14. Okay, number 14 is not multiple choice, or it would be in the multiple choice section. This is not multiple choice. You're answering A, B, and C. And I tried to make that clear, but in case that got anybody, I'm reminding you that is not multiple choice. So looking at 14, they're telling you they want the number of terms. And so the terms for the first one, for letter A, 2 terms. For letter B, there are 3 terms. For letter C, there are 2 terms, and you're done. Moving on to 15. We are making algebra tiles. Again, I cannot be more specific. I would love to be, but I just cannot be a whole lot more specific about these. So let's do number 15 together. Here's number 15. Okay, you have a certain number of algebra tiles plus a certain number. Let's say y plus 4. This is my example. I cannot show you the answer on this one, actually, but if you want me to check in class, I'll be happy to. Y plus, and then here are your 1s. Okay? And then make your little 1 in front of it. And that's it. You're done. All right, for 16. Here's our algebra tiles. I will give you a different number, but it's the same idea. You just have a constant. So you're not drawing any x's or y's. You're not making any variables in this one. Make your 1s in there so that your teacher understands you realize those are only worth 1. And you're done. You're done. So make sure yours looks a lot like mine. You're going to have an additional 1 in number 15, and you're going to have 2 additional 1s in number 16. Moving on, to number 17. Simplify each algebraic expression or tell me simplest form. So looking at 17. 17 is not in simplest form. So here is 17. I'll give you the answer, and then we will discuss one. Here is the first one. Now let's look at 18. Here is 18. Don't worry, I will give you an example. Here is 18. The answer for 18 plus 5. All right, here is 19. 19. And here is 20. 20 is in simplest form. I cannot do anything else to that one. It's done. It's done. And I told you guys, remember back to your fractions. When you can't make it any smaller, when you can't make it any simpler, then you're done. So here's an example. I'm going to make us an example. Let's do this. That's in parentheses. Okay. Notice that there is a negative sign right here. That means I have to watch out for that thing. And I've got notes in your little study guide too that says, hey, watch out for negatives. 3x plus 2, this is my example, plus, then take this 4x minus 1 and put it underneath. That's the easiest way to see it, and that's how I'd like you to do this for right now. And I say, and I told you guys before too, pretend you're lining up your decimals, and that might help you also. Remember back when we were lining up decimals, and I made you draw lines between them so that you could just see they're in different columns. So I have 2 minus 1, I get 1, and 3 plus 4, I get 7. Okay, what is this sign going to be? The 2 is bigger, so my sign is going to be positive. Here's my answer, 7x plus 1. Now, let's continue to the next part of this here study guide. And we are now to number 21. Simplify each algebraic expression by combining like terms. So this one says you have to combine like terms. There's no saying, okay, this is already in simplest form. That's not an option. That was 17 through 20. So looking at 21. 21. Here we are. We're approaching the end. Don't get anxious. All right, 21. I can't do that. I can't show you. 8x plus 8y. This is our answer. 8x plus 8y. I will tell you there is an additional x term that you have to subtract in this one. So if you got the wrong answer, look back at that and see why. Looking at 22, this is your answer. Remember, x squared is not the same as x plus 9x. X squared is not the same as x. These two guys are like two different kids that live at two different houses, and we used Davids and Davidson for our example. If you're the bus driver and you drop Davidson off at David's house, that's the wrong kid at the wrong house. You can't do that, okay? So try to kind of keep it that way. Also, we talked about with our algebra tiles, this is what x squared looks like. This is what x looks like, okay? Two completely different ideas. Now, let's continue. Continue. Now, looking at 23 through 26, simplify each algebraic expression using the distributive properties first. Okay, it's getting a little more complicated. So here's 23. I will just give you the answer if you would like. On Monday, we will go over it in class. 7x plus 10y. Remember, when you have a variable inside the parentheses, you are going to have to use distributive property. Let's say if you have a 4x plus 3, you have to use distributive property there. Let me see if I can make this point just a little bit thinner. I cannot. Okay, so it goes over there, it goes over there. Okay, remember the example I gave you about things that distribute. Okay, 24. Okay, here's our answer. And my smart cookies, you will get it. Okay, 25. Please, please, please ask me questions when we come to class on Monday. I will be happy to help you. 2x plus 4. Remember, I tell you, if one person is asking questions, there are 4 others who did not ask questions who also want to know the answer. All right, that was 25. So let's look at 26. 26 has a few steps. 26, you cannot zone out. Okay, you have to stay present to do 26. It is 15x minus 16, and that's your answer. Now let's move on to 27. 27 is one of 2 questions that use the distributive property over division, and that is a standard that you must be able to do. So our answer, 4x plus 7, don't worry, I will give you an example that I can use here. And then 28. 28 is x plus 6. 28 was kind of a doozy. We'll talk about it. All right, now let's do an example very quickly before we move on to 29. Let me give you an example that's kind of like 28. All right, let's say we have, this is my example, 4 times x plus 2 plus 16 all over 4. All right, let me clear up some room here. Move on over, go, go, go. All right, now, we put these guys on center stage. Okay, I can do a couple of things. I can say move over, and then divide at the plus sign. I can do that. I can break them apart there. And I'm allowed to do that. Distributive property says I can do that. Okay, and then I can say plus 16 divided by 4. And then I can cancel out those 4s. I can divide. I have to divide anyway. I might as well do it now. And then I get 4. Okay, and that leaves me x plus 2 here plus the 4 that came from the 16 divided by 4. And then that gives me, because I can combine these like terms now, that gives me x plus 6. However, if you decide to do distributive property over multiplication and then do division, you can do that as well. And I've shown you a lot of that, so let's go ahead and do it that way too. I have 4 times x plus 2 plus 16 all divided by 4. Now this is assuming that we do distributive property over multiplication first. And so I multiply by 4 inside the parentheses. 4 times x plus 8 plus 16 divided by 4. Now, if I go that route, I can still break these guys into 3 pieces, or I can combine this 8 plus 16. I also have that option, so I can say 4x plus 24 divided by 4. I can do that. But then I absolutely must divide both terms on the top by the 4 on the bottom. And so I say 4x divided by 4 plus 24 divided by 4. Cancel out the 4's. They become 1. 1x. Remember our special coefficient 1 that doesn't have to be written. 1, 6 plus 6. Okay, so I have the answer 2 different ways. Do it the way that you prefer. Either way is correct. It's okay if you do it a different way, if you get the right answer. All right. Now, let's look at number 29. Number 29, you have to figure out if these are the same expression, and I'm going to tell you yes, they are the same. And you would have figured that out by using distributive property. And that, thankfully, was all you had to do, was use distributive property. Now, you do have to make a table because you have been told you have to graph. So here's distributive property, and then you have to make your graph, and you're going to graph your line. Now, if you know ahead of time that these are the same expression, then you should be expecting your graph to fall in the same place on the same line. So let's look at a nice little, I'm going to do my best to make a graph. I'm not going to be able to make a graph, never mind. All right, so let's make a table. I'm only going to show you the one expression. I'm going to do this. 1/2 x plus 3. That's what you should have come up with. And our 3 favorite coordinates are 0, 1, and 2. And when you plugged in your numbers, you should have gotten 3, 3.5, and 4. And then you would have graphed your line. And here is your x, here is your y, and you should put your arrows on it, yes. Okay, so I'll start at 0, 3. 1, 2, 3. This is where it's going to cross the y-axis, only because I've got my 0 coordinate for x, excuse me. So 1 is going to be 3.5, so this would be 4. Here's 1, 3.5. And then 2, 4. Okay, so you should have one line here. And because these are the same line, you're going to have 2 lines that you graphed. And the thing is about it is These lines have to go directly in the same place. They are the same line. They go in the same place. If I had a line, let's say it was up here, if I had a line up here, then these are not the same lines. Okay, that was the very important thing for you to take away from that. They are not the same lines. All right, I am going to hopefully see you on Monday. I hope I will see you bright-eyed and bushy-tailed on Monday. And I hope this study guide has helped you, and I hope you have a great weekend.